Hello, this is a lecture on week 1 math review, and it's really for your homework assignment, homework 1. This is for Physics 105 and 213 and 116. So the first thing of your homework problem, if you look, I have your handout here. You convert decimal to scientific. We've already gone over that. Scientific to decimal, we went over that in the first video. The next thing I want to do is just go over multiply and divide. The first 3 are multiplying, and the last 3 problems are divide. Now, if you have a graphing kind of calculator or what I call a higher end calculator, you definitely need to put parentheses in your calculator. However, with my calculator, the scientific one that I have, I do not need to know this. But this is just to show that you know how to look at your calculator. I'm not expecting you to do this in your own head. I'm expecting you to use the calculator and get practice in scientific notation. So if I do the first one, I'm just going to move this to make it a little smaller so you can also see the calculator. Okay. So if I'm doing 6.09, which is the first one, in my calculator, I'm going to do 6.09. I'm going to hit the EE button, and it says times 10 to the 8. Notice I did not use my parentheses. I don't need to in this calculator for this, but in the higher ones you do, because you have to do the mathematic order. Okay? So I have this in EE. It says to multiply, so I'm hitting my multiply button. And now I'm going to go 4.14 EE6. And now I have the answer in scientific notation. However, you're going to make sure you write on your answer, you're going to put down, here, I'm going to put it down here, 2.52, at least go 3 spaces, so I would put the 1, times 10 to the 15. Make sure you put your scientific notation back in on your paper, your homework over here. Okay? Now I'll just go over one of the ones to divide. So if I do the first one, it's 1.40 EE6 divided by 3.94 EE12. And press equals. This is in decimal form, so I want to put in scientific notation form. So the answer would be 3.553 times 10 to the minus 7. You can always write down the entire number if you would like, but that's what I would go to. Okay? Hopefully this part of your homework section, which is number 3, shouldn't be too difficult for you. That's really to introduce you and make sure you're doing your calculator correctly. Now the last part of this was the metric system. I'm just going to move this over a minute. So the metric system says to convert the following and put it into decimal form. So the metric system is this one. You have 13 centimeters. That's the cm. So the first letter, the C, represents the metric system. The M represents meters for the unit of measure. If you can see down here, you've got 10. Capital M is for mega, and the HZ is for hertz. The unit of measure is hertz. That's a frequency. 3.5, little m is milli. That's the metric system unit. And the W, big W, means watts. Okay? So that's what we're trying to do. So you want to go from centimeter into decimal. The easiest way to do this is to put them in your calculator. So the other thing I want to go over, I'm just going to put this away for a minute, is to look at a handout that you'll be getting, or you can just Google or look up metric system. Okay? So this is the handout that you have. This is obviously decimal form. This is the times 10 form. But this is basically means the big G is times 10 to the 9, and that's for giga. Big capital M is mega to the 6th. The numbers that I'm going over are the numbers that we use a lot. K is for kilo. We use kilometers a lot, and that's 10 to the positive 3. So as you can see, these are larger than 1. The next one, we're not ever really going to use hecto, and we're not really using deca, and we're not going to really use deci. So the next one is, if you look at this, is less than 1. So we have 3 main ones, kilo, mega, and giga. Those are metric units that we definitely going to be using a lot in physics. And then the other ones are centi, milli, micro, which should be a mu. That's what this funky little u is. But a lot of times when I convert things in Word, the mu does not come out, so I just have a regular u. You can see the u in my handouts. So we're going to use milli, micro, nano, and pico. And they remit. So milli is -3, micro is -6, nano is -9, and pico is -12. And I'll just let you know that micro and nano students get confused over nano 9, nano 9, nano 9. Hopefully that will help you remember that nano is the -9 one. Okay? So back to our problems and our worksheet. So if we go back to, it says convert these to decimal. So I'm going to go to the 2.06. So if I want the 2.06 now, I'm going to put it down here. I'll just move this down a bit. Hold on a second. So I got 2.06 micrometers. So this is the unit for its metric that represents micro. So that represents 10 to the -6. So all you do is you take this. If I want to go to decimal, you actually have a 2-step process. I would look at putting it into your calculator in scientific notation. So this u gets replaced with a times 10, and it's -6. So then all I have to do is use my calculator, and if I have 2.06, I said this represents times 10 to the 6, so I hit my EE button, -6, and if I press equals, my flow, this becomes my decimal. So I'll do it again so we have it right. 2.06 EE -6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and a 206. So if to go to decimal, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, 206. And then that's just meters. So I took away the micro. I converted it. 2.06 micrometers into decimal. Now you could do it old-fashioned way as well, but I'm trying to get you to use the calculator because this is really what we're going to want you to start to do. You're not going to be doing things by hand like this for every single problem that we're going to have, or you're really never going to make it through physics. Okay? So let's do the 3.5. So now it's 3.5, there's a little m and a w. So the little m is for milli, which is times 10 to the -3 from the chart. The w is for watts, by the way, and that's a power. So this is a 3.5 milliwatts of power. So remember, we eventually want to get to decimal. So if you just rewrite this as 3.5 times 10 to the -3, and then put it in the calculator, you'll get your decimal. So let's do that. 3.5 EE -3 equals 0.0035. So on my paper, I would have 0.0035, and this is watts. Now you easily could have done this one because of the milli. You would just move it 3 spaces, and you can do that as well, but as long as you get the decimals in there. Okay? Now the last thing is decimal to metric. Now that's a little bit of several steps involved in that, but what you want to do is you want to take the decimal number that you have to the left and you have to write it in metric so that when you, the centi represents times 10 to the minus 2. So when you put whatever number you have in here times 10 to the minus 2, it has to come back out to the exact number in decimal form. So you're literally doing the reverse. Centi means times 10 to the minus 2, right? So let's look at that number. If I'm looking at that number, let's just do the first one. So if I have 0.00, is it three of them? 305. And we want to put that into centimeters. So centi means times 10 to the minus 2. So you got to take away two numbers. All right. So I would be taking away two numbers, so I'd be putting 0.0305 centimeters. Okay? How do I double check that? Very easily. Put 0.0305 times 10 to the minus 2, because this is what that represents in the calculator, and then I can go from scientific to double check my decimal. If we do that, if I put 0.0305, oops, sorry, I don't, hold on. Come on. Sorry about that, I didn't realize it was in the way. So let's do that again. We're doing 0.0305, right? And then we're going to do EE -2. That represents this scientifically. Now if I press equals, it should come out to the correct number. And it is. So that's how you do the last steps of the problem with this worksheet. Again, you'll be able to see me during my office hours or doing the specific time that is for your specific course as well. So if you need any more help on this, you can go to Khan Academy. You can go to the appendices in the books or anything for a review in math. See you next time.